Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I am one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I've got my co-host, James.
Hey!
In today's episode, we are talking about Volume 2 of the Kaguya-sama Love is War manga. Earlier this month, we started this series. We're basically going to get through the whole Kaguya-sama series eventually, one volume at a time. And yes, today is the second volume's turn. And we will divide the discussion into little segments. First of all, we're going to talk about the characters one by one. And lastly, we're going to talk about the comedy in the volume and the romance in the volume. So, let's start with Kaguya Shinomiya again, because I feel like that's usually a good one to start with.
Mm-hmm.
What do we learn about her this volume?
For me, what I learned more so was what she learned about herself. Now hear me out.
Mm.
Like, she kind of, through some of these chapters, you see her listing qualities that she likes about Miyuki. And so basically why she likes Miyuki. And like before, I think you had maybe some of those moments in volume 1. In volume 2, there was a couple chapters where she would either list the qualities he liked,
Mm-hmm.
or a character would ask, so would you confess to someone if you like that person? And there was a moment where she hesitated because to her the obvious answer is yes, but she can't swallow her pride or whatever. So
Yeah.
you're really starting to see that she has these strong feelings for him, but again, it's her pride that's holding her back.
For sure. We also get to see like a couple of situations in this volume where she really, well, she she goes out of her way. I mean, we saw that a lot in the first volume too, where she goes out of her way to, try to trick Miyuki into confessing his love for her,
Mm-hmm.
and but then of course it's. I feel like in this volume, at least compared to the first one, it backfires in much worse ways usually, for her. Well, because like the first chapter where Miyuki got a smartphone, and we learned that he
Mm-hmm.
only got that smartphone because, like, Kaguya sent out her servants to kind of give him like a special deal or like stuff like that. Like she was very much responsible for the fact that Miyuki got
Mm-hmm.
himself a smartphone.
I wonder how long she was doing that for. You
Yeah.
know?
So yeah, it turns out she doesn't even have a smartphone herself. So like that
Right,
was
right.
just
Yeah.
that was just I guess kind of dumb on her part, but then again, I guess if you haven't learned how things work, then you can't know. But
Right.
but yeah, that was like one of those situations.
Yeah, I would agree. The first thing I wrote down was she's still scheming, but still cute. Like, volume 1 definitely had a lot of those moments, and volume 2 is somewhat a continuation of that. But I think we see
Mm,
her more flustered than before. Maybe not. Maybe it's an equal amount of flustered, but
mm.
I do think that her schemes end up not going the way that she intends.
Right. And there was that one part in this volume where the chapter about the indirect kiss on the coffee mugs,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where we see Kaguya kind of, well, she was responsible, like she did it intentionally, switch the mugs, but she kind of realizes that that was a really kind of uncool thing to do. So she, like, for a moment in her head, she kind of wishes
Oh.
she could have taken it back, right? I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was a pretty big moment for her because yeah, actually seeing her second guess herself like that is that I don't think we've seen that before in the series.
I guess not, but I don't know if I would call it a big move other than a blunder on her part. I think it also shows that maybe secretly she wanted to have that indirect kiss, which is for some reason a very popular thing in anime and manga. The whole concept of
Yeah.
indirect kiss. I really had never thought about that stuff before until I started watching this, and it's like, wow, how many indirect kisses have I had in my life that I wonder, and
Right.
just not thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I think for her, she obviously just started overthinking about it, and maybe there was a tinge of maybe she wants this, um, at least for me, and that whole imagery of comparing it to licking your crush's recorder or something, which is disgusting, by the
Oh,
way.
right.
I mean, they show that
Oh,
like the
yeah.
image of her doing that. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people are like hot, but
Yeah.
to me that idea is disgusting. I have heard of it happening before though.
Oof.
Um, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a hard time being a teenager,
It is.
but I wouldn't say that drinking from the same cup as somebody is equivalent to that. You know what I mean?
No, 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 absolutely not. But she did have an ulterior motive in mind when she, set it up.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think her catching herself with that sort of, I thought that was a pretty nice change of pace, I suppose, compared to previous schemes that she's set up, where she just goes all the way with them as far as she can.
That's a good point. I I'll take it a different direction in
Uh-huh.
that she recognizes that or contemplates like maybe I really want this, maybe there's some feelings that I have for him, but no, that can't no that can't be. In the past it was more like, at least in volume 1, it was more like I'm going to get this guy to confess to me because I wouldn't mind if he confessed to me, or I don't have feelings for him, but if he
Yeah.
confessed to me, sure, why not?
Right.
I think we're starting to see it be more. Well, we're starting to see their true desires come out a bit more.
Definitely. Yeah, I think so for sure. There was another time here in this volume where it's also in the first chapter, if I recall, where Kaguya, where she fake cries. She like sprays
Oh
some like water
gosh,
in her
yeah, I
eyes
don't know what
to
that was, but
like
eye
and
drops. I don't know.
what something like that, I suppose. But what I thought was funny about that, and also I guess describes her in pretty well, is that like the moment before she does that, we see her, like we follow along with her thoughts, and she thinks of herself as being a girl with dignity. Right before she
Hmm.
does that very undignified thing, I would say. So I thought that was pretty funny. But it's Kaguya in a nutshell.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd agree. I think it's an underhanded tactic, as I think
It
they
really is.
may mention in in the book. Foul play by Kaguya.
Yeah.
That said, it was effective. She got what she needed. Uh,
Yeah.
I love how it's such a like uh, Miyuki falls for the trap, and as
Yeah.
soon as he shows the profile pic, she just implants it into her memory. He's like, no, Phil,
Yeah.
she got me. I
Ah,
I love that
that is also
that
made, like, they adapted that really well into the anime
they
as well.
did
That
they
one
did
is one of the funniest
very very good.
parts.
But by the way, speaking of the anime,
Hmm.
the chapter in this volume with the cockroach, was that in the anime?
No, it wasn't, and the one with
Ah,
the indirect kiss wasn't in the anime either.
yeah, I didn't remember that one either.
I think they do reference the indirect kiss, like very very
Hmm.
briefly in the anime, but they don't have the actual scene.
Yeah.
And obviously, the cockroach is also referenced in the anime in the Chika dance.
Right. Yeah. That's I didn't. So I didn't know what that whole part was. I was really confused when I watched the anime. But after reading this that chapter, I was like, oh, I get it. That's what. I didn't realize
Yeah.
she was sending a cockroach home, or whatever. Anyway, uh, the reason why I bring that up is there's that part where he basically unwittingly fondles. Is that the word fondles?
Yeah.
Kaguya's chest. I,
Yeah.
I I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny.
It was definitely funny. Oh, so
That's what it's like.
tense.
Wait, I don't remember that in the anime. So I just wanted to confirm that.
Right, right. Yeah. One thing we talked about in the previous episode when we talked about Volume 1 was that we basically established that the reason for Kaguya's and Miyuki's pride obviously is first and foremost because of, you know, you lose if you confess first. That's like
Hmm.
the premise of the story. And we talked about how, like, whether or not it could also be because they fear rejection. And we
Mm-hmm.
sort of, I think, based on the stuff we learned in the first volume, we kind of decided that no, that's not really a part of it.
Yeah,
But I think there was one part, I can't remember which chapter now, but there was one part in this volume where Kaguya
it's
actually
the cell
does,
phone one.
right, yeah, when she does mention that fear of rejection is actually a thing for her.
Exactly. That's a good point. I yeah, with just reading volume one, I didn't think there was that fear, really fear of rejection. But
Mm,
I think this whole facade of love is war and the confessing your love is admitting defeat is just them, their pride taking over and not, uh, taking over. It's
mm.
taking over because in truth they're just afraid of being rejected or something along those lines, rather
Yeah,
than being too proud to confess it. So they basically hide their insecurity and fear of rejection behind their pride, uh,
basically, yeah,
which
yeah.
which is what you said last time, and I was like, well, I don't know about that, but then it literally says it here, kind of, you know.
Right. I mean, yeah. I think with this second volume, I think it's clear. Obviously, the main
Hmm.
premise is still that you lose if
Right.
you confess first, but yeah, we now have reason to think that there's a little bit more to it as well, beyond
Yeah.
just beyond that. So I think that's nice. And we get to see more of Kaguya's innocence when it turns out that she thinks that when was your first time refers to kissing.
Hmm.
That's probably always going to be one of my favorites, like gags.
It's so good. That was one thing I forgot to mention. I have in my notes that
Uh-huh.
she's even more. We see even more of her kind of ignorance to the things of the world, her
Hmm.
naivety, and that is part of her charm. Is just how, despite being so brilliant and intelligent, she there's so much that she doesn't understand about a typical normal thing. She's lived in such a bubble,
For sure.
and anyway, that part of that is what makes some of these chapters so funny. Is that especially that one. That one
Yeah.
is a classic.
Totally. Oh my god.
My favorite chapter though for Kaguya
Mm.
is Battle 16. Kaguya wants to handle it. So it's basically the equivalent of what happened in the volume 1 with Miyuki giving his love advice. This is
Yes.
Kaguya's turn to give her love advice to Kashiwagi.
Hmm.
And the reason why I like it so much is we see she basically starts listing off reasons she likes Miyuki,
Yeah.
but is still kind of in denial of that. And there's that obviously Chika come in, and we'll talk about her later, but Chika
Uh-huh.
comes in as the love detective, and she wants to help out, and she lists a scenario where what would happen if the person you liked was with another woman, and Kashiwaki kind of has a really surprisingly a small reaction. I honestly I thought she was disappointed, but I guess it turned out, or that she was indifferent. Sorry, I thought she was indifferent from that panel, but then she's like, yeah, it would make me feel uneasy. But they look at Kaguya, and she's just frantically like, I'm going to kill this woman.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, it's just all obviously all in her imagination. But um, and I love that part. And then at the very end of that chapter, when she sees Miyuki helping out in some way,
Yeah.
the two couples, she kind of reinforces the things she likes about him and that
Mm.
random kindness that he has at times. It
Yeah.
was just really sweet.
Really, really sweet. Yeah, that's definitely also one of the better chapters in this one, especially when it comes to like just getting a better look into the characters and
Hmm.
and also for the characters to grow as well, because I think this chapter for Kaguya was pretty important because I think Chika helped her realize better
Yeah,
what her feelings are, so
totally.
I think that was very, very good. So moving on to Miyuki Shirogane. One thing we learn obviously early on is that he was relatively late in getting himself a smartphone.
Hmm.
Uh, Something I can relate to 100% because I didn't get a smartphone until like a year after high school, which I guess compared to like when you're born and stuff, obviously that differs for sure. But
Yeah, sure. I think for me, it was a couple years after graduated, maybe 3. It
Mm.
it, it was just a different situation, but I I can relate to that in a way also because I was also in Japan in 2012. I was living in Japan and a lot of people still had flip phones.
Ah,
Smartphones weren't really huge yet. They was there, but people still had their flip phones with all their little dinglies, their charms
oh
hanging from
yeah,
their flip phones. People love them. And
right.
then I went back in 2015, and yeah, there was a huge shift to everyone's basically having smartphones. You still see some
Oh,
flip phones, but it was smartphones had really come back. So I think
right.
this chapter was probably written in either
Yeah,
2016, I
no,
think, or was it
I think
or was it
these
2015?
I think it's 2015. I know the
Okay.
series at least started in 2015, and so I assume at least the first two volumes came out in that year.
So it kind of makes sense that Kaguya still had her flip phone and her saying sentimental values. I remember hearing some people be like, I can't get rid of it. It's I've had
Hmm.
this for so long.
For
S
sure.
I totally understand that frame. It's kind of
Yeah.
cute to be honest. Like I can't get rid of it. It's been with me for so long.
Totally. Yeah.
Uh,
I do actually think it was
yeah.
2015, the summer of 2015, that
Oh,
when I switched from flip phone to smartphone.
oh really? Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm yeah. So
Wow. Perfect
that's
timing then.
that works. Yeah. And another thing, another part I liked from Miyuki in this chapter was when Kaguya is asking her, or Kaguya is asking him about if he like, has had a girlfriend or like something like that. When they're talking about the having done it, like
Hmm.
the she Kaguya thinks it's about kissing and stuff. And when she asks Miyuki if he's ever had a girlfriend or if he has a girlfriend or something like that, he adds this like, I don't have a girlfriend right now, or like, and how that implies that he has in the past even though he hasn't. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was really really funny, and a pretty smart way to express oneself in a situation like that, especially
Hmm.
for Miyuki, who doesn't want to come off as inexperienced and stuff like that. And I do think I'm guilty of using like that sort of like just expressions myself.
Yeah, there's this the ambiguity to it where you say right now is like, oh wait, did you have one in the past, or
Right.
have you never had one? It still leaves up in the air. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I'm ever guilty of it. I think it's like you know the answer already. I've never. Like, it's
Right, right.
there's no point in hiding my shame.
But
But I certainly don't blame him for wanting to hide that, especially in high school, when
hmm,
you feel those insecurities and pressures. I guess people in college feel that way too.
right. And we know Miyuki personally has that issue a lot
Yeah,
compared to other characters.
for sure. I feel like in volume 2 we see him falling for more of Kaguya's traps or her schemes. Is that fair to say that? But he's able to squirm his way out of them, or is it just the same consistency as volume 1? I'm not sure. What do you think?
Um, I didn't really think about it, but I mean, there were definitely a few times where Kaguya really got him, like when she cried crocodile tears,
Hmm.
for example. That was like a big win for her, at least for the moment, obviously.
Well, and she also was the one who did the subliminal messages to get a phone. Um,
True.
so she had a lot of webs, not only in that one, but I think in a lot of chapters she had some webs in place.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I think ultimately, I do think
Hmm.
because most of these ultimately backfire, like
Yeah.
in one way or another. So I don't think she really had the upper hand,
No, no,
in
I,
the
I
end.
wasn't trying to say that, but just
Mm,
like
mm.
maybe it's more so that Kaguya is planting more schemes, but I do feel like Miyuki was falling into these schemes, but then squirming out, which is what I was trying to say.
Oh yeah,
He's able to get out of them. For example, the cockroach. Cockroach was totally unpredictable at the time,
yeah,
but then Kaguya tried to use it as, oh, wait, I can use my womanly feminine charms to woo him, but
yeah.
obviously he's able to get out of that um,
Right.
through dumb luck, I guess you could say. or good luck. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, that one was funny because Miyuki had no control of that situation, yet
That's true.
he still was able to, get out of it it all worked out for him miraculously.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
Even though he may not know
But
it.
he doesn't even have memory probably of
Yeah, it's
having.
true. No,
Yeah.
he doesn't. He doesn't. I don't think he does.
I don't no, no.
I don't think he'd be able to live with himself if he.
No, exactly. Oh my god. But yeah, in that chapter, with the cockroach, we get some backstory to why he has this phobia of
Yeah.
bugs. I thought that was funny since that was only touched on briefly in the first volume,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it's somewhat of a tragic backstory, something along those lines.
It really brings a tear to your eye. It really
Yes,
does.
really does. Little poor little boy.
I think we learned a lot about his personality. I mean, maybe you could say that with every volume, but this volume, I think we saw more of his kind and caring side. Maybe
Mm,
not from the chapters that are directly about him, but they're from Kaguya's point of view. We see him
mm,
doing things that she finds are good qualities and kind, caring. He's also he's also still serious. He'll take these things seriously if he needs to be, like in the um, word game, the taboo word game.
yeah.
Um, to I guess his dismay, but
Yeah.
but but more so, I think we see his insecurities, which are probably always going to be there, like they were in Volume One. But I think we see them a lot more here, especially about being single and some of his shortcomings in terms of intelligence. I'm not saying he's not dumb, but a lot of his intelligence comes from just reading books.
Yeah.
Case in point, the French chapter, Battle 20,
Yep.
Miyuki Shirogane wants to talk.
Uh-huh.
That one, you just see, one is just hilarious. I just love the situation he gets himself in.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll talk about a certain scene in there later on, but I
Mm.
just guess what I want to say is he feels confident that his studying will make him seem impressive to, especially Kaguya,
Uh-huh.
to the people. But that quickly backfires, and he finds out even Chika can speak fluent French
Yeah.
and have deep conversations, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
he just his insecurities are just grow even more in that case. So.
For sure. Yeah. There really is a lot of focus on his insecurities.
Hmm.
But what I really enjoyed Miyuki in the Forbidden Word game chapter where well we get to see his insecurities there as well for a time because he obviously has this plan to let Chika win so that
Hmm.
he and Kaguya can go shopping together. And he I think at first he assumes that Kaguya has the same kind of plan, but then there is one moment, like he has one moment of doubt where he for a moment he thinks that wait, maybe she doesn't, like maybe she is trying to play to win, or like maybe she doesn't want to go shopping with me. I think that's pretty touching, like to see him, well, yeah, have those doubts and stuff. But then also, as you said, we get to see how like his just genuine kindness as well in this volume a lot, and also in this chapter when he after we get some reason to believe that Chika suffers by from feeling left out a lot, like, and that like she's not part of a situation or whatever, where Miyuki, I mean, he thinks it over and like whether or not she was bluffing or if there was truth to it, and he
Hmm.
decides to believe that there probably was at least some level of truth to it, which I personally agree with as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll get to that. But and then he decides to try to win himself so that Chika won't be left out of the going shopping potentially. Obviously, he fails with that, but just seeing like him giving up this opportunity to go shopping with Kaguya for a moment, I think is one of those good examples of his just altruistic nature.
For sure, I agree. And I didn't. I don't know if I really uh, looked at that whole chapter in that light, but I agree 100%. It shows his his good nature, his goodwill,
Mm.
and if he doesn't want to cheat someone of giving his best just so that he can get what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously that played into Chica's hand, but uh, it just shows how sincere a person he really is. I
Mm.
don't I don't see him being a person who will backstab or try to use someone for his own gain. Does that make sense? And maybe something happens later on in volumes, but
Right.
I
No,
really
no,
don't
no.
see him
Mm.
doing that.
No, he would never. Yeah, like I also don't think he would ever do that. He's just too kind of a person, and he's like one of the most considerate people in the world.
Yeah, consider it. Yeah. Kaguya, on the other hand, I mean, she'll use anybody, I think, but not in like a. It's odd. I mean, I usually if someone is using or manipulating someone else,
Mm.
I don't condone it and I don't like it.
Yeah.
But in her case, it's never to harm them. It's more to try to get what she wants, and right now, what she wants is Miyuki.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean she's what, like 16 years old, like 17 years old.
Yeah,
Like she's just a kid. So like I can give her a pass for some of the pretty bad things that she has been doing. But also as you said, like they aren't like that bad, even though yeah, they
right.
can be pretty nasty sometimes, but ultimately it's not that bad.
Yeah, and again, you got to look at her background too. She comes from
Oh yeah.
a very noble like family
Mm.
who has servants is probably what's the word assistants
I mean,
is that
I
or is
think
it
they could be
servants?
considered servants. Yeah.
Hmm. So they I mean that's just kind of normal for her to be able to dictate what people do.
Yeah.
Um,
You're right.
and it, but again, I think that that's just one of her interesting qualities, interesting quirks, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know how to
Absolutely.
put it
And like
exactly.
just from a story standpoint, like as a consumer of
Yeah,
this story, I love her bad sides. It
yeah,
makes her into such an interesting character. So yeah,
truly
so
does.
so good. Would you like to move on to talk a little bit about Chica?
Oh yes.
Because I was well, we were talking about the Forbidden Word game, which obviously she was the
Hmm.
one who suggested that game, and I first of all I just gotta say I love her strategy to winning,
Yeah.
where she just changes the way she speaks. Was really funny, which obviously got I probably both Miyuki and most readers a little nervous.
That is my favorite chapter for her in this volume. I think
Absolutely,
she knocks out of the park with that. Just because she plays both of these masterminds like a fiddle, really.
she really does.
Um, and it wasn't unintentional either. Like she
Hmm.
she knew how to get the reaction, the words she needed, really.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
because she was the one that gave Miyuki the serious word, right?
Uh, no,
Oh, it was Kaguya who
that
did?
must have been Kaguya because Miyuki gave Chika
Oh,
the
check it. You're right.
the
You're
check.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So I
yeah.
guess that because that's right. At the end, like they say Kaguya basically picked a word that she thought that Miyuki would say or something like that. So that's why
Hmm.
she ended up winning. But I guess not winning, but ended up going shopping,
Right. Yeah.
winning the chance to go shopping with Miyuki.
Right. Victory through loss.
My point with Chika is we had seen her as this innocent, bubbly, uh, happy-go-lucky person. When it comes to games like this,
Hmm.
she doesn't hold back her punches.
Nope.
She'll she. I mean, we were talking about Kaguya being manipulative, but I mean, here Chika for the sake of winning, she just went straight to the for the throat, man.
Totally.
Um, to get Kaguya to say that word, and I'm frightened by it, but also I kind of like it. Oh, I said the word.
Yeah.
Dang it. I,
Yeah.
I, I, I like it because she's. It shows that she's not just the adorable comedy relief. There is some sort of
Mm,
mischievous and crafty side to her.
for sure. Yeah, I think that's one of the funny things with her is that I mean I think there were a few hints, not to her being like crafty like this necessarily, but even in the
Hmm.
first volume there were some hints of,
Yeah.
like, toward her being, um, I guess able to see things in a different way that others don't, and like her coming up with some words of wisdom, like seemingly randomly at points, but it.
Hmm.
I think that's also an important part of her character, and it says, like, after the chapter with the Forbidden Word game, it says there's like a little box, I think, where it says that the Forbidden Word game is described as it challenges the player's understanding of their opponents,
Hmm.
and obviously Chika won it, like, very, like, it was obviously not a fluke. Uh, so I think she does understand people more so than she gives off, like maybe than we understand of her.
I think I agree with that, but I also think it's to Kaguya's credit because she understood. I think Kaguya understands both Chika and Miyuki more than Miyuki understands Kaguya and Chika. Does that make sense? Because I think she knew. I think she knew that Miyuki was more likely to say the serious word, hence why she gave him that word,
Hmm.
and was able to um, win in that way.
True.
I don't think she expected like to be her word at all. I don't think she expected to lose first. Kaguya
Exactly.
did, and so that's why this it just shows that Chika basically knows what she's doing in that sense. So I agree with that, but I also think it's Kaguya who understands the other two a little more than Miyuki, who I think here kind of shows his. Again, we're talking about Miyuki again, but kind of shows his ignorance may not be the right word, but his daftness or his lack of understanding, basically. I don't think he completely understands the other two, but
uh,
but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. They've all got secrets from each other in a way. Although I'd say Chika has less of that, or she's definitely, much more open and honest about things.
Yeah,
As long as she's not playing a game, she will be like an open book. But when she gets into
yeah,
game mode, that's when she can be
it's true.
incredibly, like, lie and deceive and
Hmm.
all sorts of things.
I
So
agree.
on that topic, what do you think of the story she told about feeling left out a lot, and like that being an issue for her? Do you think, like, how much truth do you think there was in that?
I thought there was a good amount of truth in that because that wasn't the first time she mentions in this volume. Because didn't she mention boy talk in that confession? Like she wishes more girls would talk to her about boys or whatever.
That's part of it, yeah.
So she brings it up later on too, or before I can't remember the order of the chapters. When she becomes the love detective,
Hmm.
she mentions she wants more girls to talk to her about boys, and it's not so much about the boys aspect. It's just I think it's more she wants to have more friends. I think,
Yeah.
and maybe eh, part of her current feelings is that well, yeah, basically she doesn't have as many friends as she would like, or maybe not a lot of people talk to her as she likes, or is open with her.
Right.
I don't know. Does that make
I
sense?
yeah, absolutely, because I mean, she has like this small circle of friends in the student council, and
Mm-hmm.
at home, as we learned in the first volume, she has a pretty strict home life, like very
True.
strict.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't imagine, like, maybe, I mean, obviously I don't know for sure, but I don't imagine there's a whole lot of, like, I guess, love in there, or at least not necessarily,
Hmm.
like, I don't know. Regardless, I don't think she has a lot of friend circles. Like, at least based on what she said, because I choose to believe that what she said in this game was truth. Maybe she exaggerated it for sure, but that it was still that it is still something that weighs her down to a degree.
I agree. I agree. I don't know. I don't know how much of that is true, but
Mm.
I thought the same thing, that potentially there's a little more truth there than what we see. But anyway,
Yeah, and Miyuki seems to think there is something there as well. So
I think that's part of the reason why I
mm,
thought that. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I had actually. It's funny because I read these volumes like back in early 2019, and I haven't read them until now again. Now that I'm rereading them for this podcast, and so there's a lot of stuff I forget, like that I've forgotten since my first time reading, and I actually during that chapter I actually had the same thought about like those feelings maybe being actually genuine and not
Mm-hmm.
just made for to win the game. I had that suspicion before we saw Miyuki like ponder about it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's definitely nice, I think, to get this insight into Chika a bit more. Really like that.
Yeah, I did too. And something that Miyuki says about her after Chika gets Kaguya to say that is, he says, "Wow, that's bad form, and that's why people think you're a pain to be around, Fujiwara." And
Right.
so there's obviously this thought maybe among their classmates that, yeah, she is a bit much in some cases, and maybe that it attests to why she feels she doesn't have a lot of friends or can't talk to as many people. But maybe we'll see that in future volumes. I'm not sure. Uh,
Yeah, I hope so.
yeah, I hope so. One What I got out of this volume more so than the first one is Chica's character, and she's more than a plot device or an instigator, a comic relief. Like obviously
Right.
she is, like she has a lot of uh, comedic relief moments and they're hilarious, but we do see more of her personality, and more than just the bubbly innocent girl that maybe volume 1 portrays her as.
Yeah.
She cares for a lot of people. Like she is like she wants that, like we were saying, she wants that friendship that she sees other girls her age having,
Mm.
and maybe she doesn't quite feel like she has with Kaguya. And she's a lot more clever than people give her credit, especially Kaguya. At
Absolutely.
least
Yeah.
at least in this chapter, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Like there's a
Absolutely.
moment where Kaguya says or imagines Chika, and she says, "Oh, I have an IQ of 3." But if you look in the very first pages, there's a point where it talks about Miyuki, and oh, never mind. I thought,
Hmm?
well, that was dumb. So
Oh.
I thought in the final exam top scores, because in the back you have names. I thought I saw Fujiwara's
Oh.
name, but no, it's Miyuki, Kaguya, and Kashiwagi that I see.
Oh,
Um,
that's right.
who who's pretty high, but no, I don't see Fujiwara. So never mind. I was about to go and say like, oh well, she's in the top of her class. Well, one of the top grades in her class. What? No.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, she's definitely not like a top student, but she's definitely not dumb either.
Yeah. There's no way she says she has an IQ of 3.
Yeah. No.
There's
No. For
no
sure
way.
not. Yeah. And I one thing that I can like I know I have a side to me sometimes that I could see Chica having that to a degree as well, is where it's like it's possible that she not plays dumb, but sort of doesn't care about coming off as not
Hmm.
super intelligent. Like she's able to like she's cool with like kind of joking about herself and
Mm-hmm.
like that sort of thing where she's fine with having like she doesn't care if others think she's stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see that. I could see that. And to a degree, I see what Kaguya means when she says that Chika has no pride. No pride in the sense that she's okay being viewed as a goofball or viewed as
Mm.
an hairhead, or that she doesn't care as much of what people think about her than, say, Kaguya would, maybe.
Right. Well, yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe it might just depend on the person, but anywho.
Hmm. Yeah. I really liked Chica's like almost like motherly side we got to see when she took it like she took it on herself to describe to or explain to Kaguya what your first time means, and she's whispering in her ear for 16 minutes, just describing what that is.
Wait, it was 16 minutes?
Yeah, it says that it took 16 minutes
Oh, wait, hold
to
on.
explain it.
I totally missed that. I gotta see it. Just a sec.
It's so funny. So that was how Kaguya learned what sex was.
Oh yeah, 16 minutes later. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I respect to Chika for doing that, because I would not want to be Miyuki and have to explain to, especially the girl I like,
Yeah.
what that means. Yeah, that's.
Oh man.
I love her response to that. Isn't that illegal?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But that's Kaguya.
That is
not Chika.
right. Yeah, but that is really good. And then obviously we have Chika picking up the cockroach with her fingers after Miyuki struggled with that hardcore for a whole chapter, and she even knows what kind of cockroach it is and which direction the cockroach needs to fly to get home. Like,
yeah,
that's also one like really good example for like that just shows that she's really not dumb. It's just maybe it's just like a way she like her personality just comes off as it, but really she's not dumb at all.
Yeah, and one of my favorite moments is when she just speaks fluent French.
Yes.
And because you just don't expect it, because I think even Miyuki is like, basically thinks Chika will be in the same boat as he's in, I think.
Yeah. He just naturally assumes that she's not going to be able to speak French.
I do find it a bit offensive that she's like, if anything, Japanese is not my strongest language. It's like, wow. Obviously, she didn't mean that as a burn to Miyuki, but it was like, dang, hit him while he's down.
Yeah, but that is also true with Chika though. She says what she thinks. She doesn't shy away from saying what's on her mind, which obviously that can come off as a little bit harsh at times, but it is that's also one of her personality traits.
Oh yeah, it is. Like the moment when Miyuki puts on the cat ears and she's like, how do I put this? It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It doesn't look right on you. Or something like that. Basically,
she just says, "Yeah, that looks bad on you." Yeah, I love that. She's so honest. Mm-hmm. And she gives the good advice that we talked about with Kaguya and Kashiwagi. She gives the good love advice to envision the person you like with someone else, which I think was good for obviously helped both Kaguya and Kashiwagi there. Mm-hmm. So that was also a good thing Chika did this volume.
Chika had a lot of good moments in this. I was surprised.
Really, yeah.
Like compared to volume 1, I almost thought, okay, maybe it's going to be a slow, steady thing, but no, in this one, no wonder she's on the front. She does a really good job.
She definitely deserves to be on the front cover. And when I was taking notes for this volume, she was actually the character I ended up taking the most notes for.
I think same. No,
which I was surprised by, but it's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice to see her get this attention. Mm-hmm. And there's more to come.
Exciting.
And also when she says like to Kashiwagi that like finding something in common with her boyfriend,
my gosh,
and that they have to like stand up against society. That was one of my favorite things.
One of the best lines. That's why another reason why I love that chapter so much. I was debating between that one and the word one, is which one was the best for Chika, but for the sake of variety I did the other one. But that one's good because she just gave this advice that seems just out of this, or just out of left field. Like how
Yeah.
would that be a good thing? Fight the society, because what Kage was saying at first, finding something that you both can do. That okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like fighting society. Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. And what they end up doing, because they could have gone the direction of like rioting or something crazy like that. But
Uh-huh.
it's really funny how they Kashiwagi and her boyfriend find charity as the thing that brings them together. It's really
Yeah, that's really
really
sweet,
funny.
actually.
Really sweet.
Ah, yeah, and I think that it's just one of those things where it just fits it fits Chica's personality so well. Like
Hmm.
the way, like I feel like I don't know, like somehow she seems to be like in touch with nature and with like and she has this way of thinking that's outside the box for most people, and yeah, just standing up against society and like sending the cockroach home. Like I don't know, they're very different things obviously, but like they all fit somehow. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but yeah.
Well, I think you mentioned last time she's unpredictable or something along those lines. You said that, and
Yeah.
I think this adds to it. You wouldn't really predict that she would pick up the cockroach and know its name and send it flying in the right direction. You wouldn't predict that she'd say fight society. Um, really, you probably. I mean, I don't think you would.
No, 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 no.
And so she. I think as the chapters go on, you have to think, okay, she's gonna say something that we're not gonna be able to predict, or when she says something that's unpredictable, you can still think, okay, that's very Chica of her to say that.
Right,
Does
right,
that make sense?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like it's like we it's hard to predict her, but when she does or says something, it's like, oh yeah, of course she would say or do that.
Yeah.
Sort of, because and I said also last time, like when we talked about the first volume, I said something like I feel like Chica is I feel like she's a bit of a philosopher sometimes. Like when the things that she says, the thing like the society thing, and in the previous volume it was
Live in
like
society.
we talked in the last volume we talked about, or like she was the one that basically told Kaguya and Miyuki to get off their asses and do something, or if they don't, nothing's gonna happen. There there's a lot of those sorts of things that I really like with her.
Indeed.
Moving on to the other characters, there's a few others that we can probably talk a little bit about. Obviously, these three were also in this volume the primary ones, but we get to see more of Ai Hayasaka in this volume than we did in the first.
Yeah. Still relatively unknown though. You know,
Yes,
like
yeah,
we,
yeah. She's
it's much more than the first volume, but it's more of a glimpse of um, who this person is.
right. We get to learn that the Hayasaka family has pledged their allegiance to the Shinomiya family for generations, and that they are completely trusted by the Shinomiya family, and that Ai has been uh, serving Kaguya for the past 10 years, and that supposedly Ai Hayasaka is the only one that Kaguya is like feeling perfectly comfortable around to actually be herself completely.
Yeah, which is a special kind of bond that they share.
For sure, for sure. And like I wonder if Kaguya views Ai as a friend, or if she just sees her as like someone that serves her. You know?
Yeah, I wonder. I think it is a servant master relationship,
Mm.
but I think that can be grounded in friendship though.
Yes.
So, or at least lead to friendship. And I do think they are what you would consider friend,
Mhm.
but it extends beyond that to a master servant type of relation. Does that make sense?
I
I
think
keep I
so.
keep saying does that make sense? I should probably stop saying that.
No, but I
But
think it makes sense.
okay.
And it's like yeah, because like I feel like in all technicalities or whatever you want to say, like they are friends. Based on the way they talk
Yeah.
and the way they, the way they are when they are together, they are friends. Just
Mhm.
based on that, then whether or not they personally would call it a friendship, like the characters
Mhm.
themselves, that's a different thing, I think. But
Yeah.
like what one thing, for example, when I asks Kaguya if she would confess first if she was in love with someone,
Mm.
like
Mhm.
I think she was intentionally messing with Kaguya there because she wanted to get a reaction out of Kaguya, and obviously she does get that when Kaguya throws her like sleeve thing on her like in fury.
Yeah, the cuff or whatever.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think for me, I is very intuitive and notices a lot of things. So I think she could tell Kaguya had she probably knows of Miyuki. She
mhm.
and probably has seen them together or how Kaguya acts around him.
Yeah.
So she's able to already piece together that well and obviously like Kaguya is asking her to do all sorts of somewhat absurd things for this man,
Right.
or to get this man to fall in love with her.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I guess it's not as hard to figure out, but she likes to egg and almost tease Kaguya on
Mm.
in in order to kind of help her, give her advice. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, like when she takes the phone and like starts texting
uh huh.
without like Kaguya wanting that to happen.
Or even just the question, somewhat leading question of if someone were to or someone
Mhm.
if you were to fall in love with someone, would you confess to them or
Right.
something like that? Like obviously I think she probably knew what the answer would be,
For sure.
but was trying to get a reaction from her.
Definitely. Yeah. Other characters we got is well, yeah, Kashiwagi. We mentioned her a little bit. She comes back in this volume, feeling insecure about her relationship that started in the previous volume. And I think, at least for me, the primary thing that we get from Kashiwagi in this volume is that I think it's pretty obvious that Kashiwagi understands that Kaguya is in love.
Yeah.
When yeah, when they're sitting there talking and
Mm-hmm.
Kaguya starts describing things and she I think she gives the excuse, yeah, no, I'm talking about someone else or something like that. Or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, Kashiwagi sees through that, and she understands that Kaguya is probably madly in love with someone. I mean, it's just a small thing for a relatively small character, but I thought that was a pretty nice thing with her this volume.
What I liked about it, besides that's a good point as well. She's Kaguya's feelings for Miyuki are not as encrypted as maybe she thinks,
Right.
and Kashiwagi is able to pick up on that. But what I really like from Kashiwagi is somewhat the realness of relationships, in that sometimes
Mm.
you may not have the feelings for a person that's asked you out or something like that, but or maybe you think the magic or the love is not there,
Hmm.
and that's totally fair for her to think that. But then we get Chika comes in with her love detective advice, and Kashiwagi kind of takes a realistic approach to it. She doesn't freak out like, I mean, not saying it's not realistic, but she doesn't freak out like Kaguya in that mind exercise that Chika has them do. Um, she kind of just she seriously contemplates like, yeah, I wouldn't like him being with another woman.
Yeah, and she does look sad when she envisions
Yeah, it's
that.
true. She does. I guess I don't know. And anyway, yeah. My point is that I think that's somewhat of a realistic take on how some romances start. It may not start
Yeah.
as liking the person as much as the person likes you, but as you get to know them and you find something that you both enjoy, like fighting against society,
Yeah.
uh, love can maybe spring from that, or not. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
Right. I
know.
mean,
I don't
obviously,
know what the
yeah.
future holds for this couple, but
You never know. But yeah, no, it's definitely their little side story, I guess you could call it, is definitely so far a very nice thing to have
yeah.
going for sure. Next up, I want to touch a little bit on Miyuki's father.
Oh yes,
So I just first of all,
so good.
I love his introduction. You know, when he's on the phone with Kaguya, I love the design of his face.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so funny. Just the little peek of him we got this episode, and thanks to him picking up the phone and all that, it was also nice for Kaguya to get a little bit of a peek into Miyuki's home life, because we hear his little sister's voice, and like we hear, like there's a little bit of that like family bickering that
Mm-hmm.
you can hear through the phone when Miyuki's dad hands over the phone to Miyuki. So I thought that was really sweet.
She kind of got a peek into the bathtub too, but
Yeah.
I like that part. She's like, "You're talking to a naked man."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I love that part so
And
much.
how and I has this like sign that she holds up to Kaguya, like drag out the conversation, like keep talking. It's like she's really rooting for Kaguya, and I think that's really sweet.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to say about Eyes.
Mm,
She's basically she's teasing her in in ways, but she's also rooting for her.
you're
So
right.
it's an interesting kind of relationship that they have.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, his father is interest or Mr. Shirogane is very interesting in that he had. I mean, the look he's very serious, and he has that kind of what what do they keep calling his eyes?
Intense.
I guess intense is the right
So
word because
something
they are
like that
very
at least.
intense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he looks a lot like Shirogane, obviously, or like
Yeah.
Miyuki. Obviously, he is Shirogane, so obviously he looks like Shirogane. But yeah, like I love that. It's like he looks like a combination of Shirogane and some kind of like generic stereotypical drawing of a Japanese man, if that makes
I
sense.
can see that. Yeah.
But yeah, like I love his design, and he looks like, this is manga, and it's a very manga. It in the art style, noses look very like much like they generally do in manga, like not necessarily realistic noses. But then you got Shirogane's or Miyuki's father, and he has a like his face is actually pretty proportional to a real person for the most part, like at least compared to most other characters. And I think that alone is also just a really funny little detail, to me at least.
No, yeah, I like it, and like you were saying, the whole look into Miyuki's somewhat family life
Yeah.
is is nice, and I don't know, kind of it's a contrast to how Kaguya's um, interaction with her family, I imagine, is like. I don't imagine they're as
Right.
intimate as father or mother walking into the bathtub to hand over the phone,
Yeah.
or even just answering
Right.
your son's phone like that. Which,
Yeah.
if my parents did that and I was a teenager, I mean, I would freak out. I mean, freak out's
Yeah.
not the right, maybe not the right word. I'd be upset. I'd be upset.
Yeah, no,
I'd be upset.
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a very nice scene. Obviously, it's just like one page or so
Right.
with
It's pretty brief.
the dad there, but he's very sweet or fun or whatever. um, okay, so there's two other characters. They're basically just gonna get mentions because they're so brief. But the girl who has a supposed thing for Kashiwagi's boyfriend appears briefly. I think on one of these like between chapter pages. Um,
She appears two times actually.
actually, yeah, I think there was another time, but I can't remember what the other time was now.
It's in the same chapter. So the most obvious one is
Hmm.
she's at the end of that
Oh,
chapter watching them doing the charity work, right?
right. Yes, yes, yes.
The other time is when Kashiwagi's imagining her boyfriend with another girl.
Yeah.
It's that girl,
It
which
is.
is
It
which
is.
I thought was like what? Like what? Does she know something? Like maybe she knows that she has
Ooh, I
feelings
hadn't thought of
for
that.
her boyfriend.
That's actually really interesting. I had not thought of her potentially knowing that. Sorry, I almost said her name. That this girl has feelings for her boyfriend.
I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe she doesn't. Maybe that's just one of her friends, and so she just decided to pick that one.
Right. Yeah.
But
That absolutely. Yeah, because
who
because
knows?
Kaguya has no reason to think that Chika has feelings for Miyuki.
Yeah,
but
that's
she
true.
still chooses Chika.
Yeah,
You know.
I think, real quick, I think one of the reasons why she chose Chica was, I think, in the terms of feminine wiles, I think maybe she feels maybe a little insecure. I think she knows
Yeah.
she's cute, but maybe she feels a little insecure in compared to Chica's rather large chest and other
Yes. Yeah.
attractive features.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So anyway,
That's
sorry,
true.
random thing. And so
Yeah.
maybe Kashiwagi feels that way about this girl. I don't know. I'm just
I mean, potentially.
throwing theories out there.
Right. No, it's definitely fun to have them thrown out there so that we can look back at it and laugh at how dumb our
Yeah,
theories were.
that's our thing. Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting though. And it is fun to see her there, mostly as a little Easter egg, obviously in that little
Yeah.
thing. But it's nice because the more I can see of that girl, the better. I really like her.
Oh, good. I'm happy. Who's the other character?
And finally, appearing only like on the basically the last page is Yui Ishigami,
Oh yeah.
who still didn't quite appear in this volume, which I had hoped he would. But we at least are promised that he will appear in next volume. So get excited.
Yeah, which I was happy about because he's definitely one of my favorites from the anime. Like
Right.
he had a brief appearance in the color spread at the very first or the second page. Like he was there in the corner. So when I was first
Oh
reading the
yeah.
volume, I was like, wait, does he appear in this one? And then he never did.
Right. That's right.
Disappointment. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready for volume 3 now.
Oh yes, I am so ready.
There's also the principal or the
The prince. Actually, that's
headmaster.
true. That's true. Do you want to talk about him a bit, or?
Well, I guess all I'll say is, what's his deal? Like, I mean, obviously he, in that chapter where he takes the magazine from the grave, yeah, he's just being the headmaster, principal guy of the school. Like that makes sense, I guess. But
Yeah.
then in the French chapter or the very last chapter, he's like all of a sudden testing or
Yeah.
putting Miyuki through a trial. But it turned out hilarious, and his reactions was like, were so he totally read the situation incorrectly, but I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good on Miyuki to doing that. But I really wonder, does he have more of a role in the future, in other volumes? Because I remember in the anime, I'm pretty sure he was there, but that may have been the only time in that French part. Like that was the only time he appeared, and then he just went away. And I always thought that was strange. And again,
Right.
when reading this, I thought, yeah, that's weird. Like what in the world?
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I guess it. I mean, it is just volume 2, so there's potential he'll reappear again. I guess. But what are your thoughts on him?
I think so. Not too much to like. Well, I feel like at least based on this volume where I can't remember if he appeared at all in the first one, but um,
Maybe briefly.
yeah, if he did, it was only very very briefly. But at least based on this volume, we have the time when he gave the magazine to the student council to like for them to confiscate it or to get rid of it or whatever. And the French chapter as you mentioned. And I feel like in both of those chapters, we get reason to feel like he's a bit of a slacker in a way, if that makes sense.
Oh.
He could have dealt with the magazine himself, but no, he gives it to the student council to do
True.
do whatever with. And
I
then
did think that was stupid, or not stupid, but just like
I mean,
really
just strange.
strange. Yeah, that's the word.
And in the French chapter, like Miyuki asks him like for future, could you please give us a little bit more time to prepare events like these?
Yeah.
That's another reason where I feel like maybe he's not super invested or as much as he should. I don't know. But that's I guess as much as I can take away from this volume about him.
But then he acts like he's testing Miyuki with the
True.
you know silver tongue French lady.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He confuses me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I'm not. I was like whatever. If he appears again, like woohoo. But if he doesn't, it's like
He is a strange old man.
yeah.
But yes, moving into the comedy talk. What made us laugh a lot this volume?
I gotta say that the last chapter or Battle 20 where he just has a whole French incident, really made me laugh. But
Uh-huh.
especially the part where he's like, okay, I'm just gonna wing it. Use what or I don't think he actually. I think a girl just comes up to him and starts talking to him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Someone just comes up to him, and yeah, he's just trying to get by, and then the text turns into shapes, which is so relatable.
Yeah.
I, when I was first learning Japanese, when I first lived in Japan,
Mm,
what anything that they were saying, it just didn't comprehend or didn't compute. And
of
then
course. Mm.
a few years later, I remember I had met someone again after like 2 years. They were Japanese, and for the first time, I understood everything they were saying, and I was like, whoa, this is like I didn't understand. That's what you're. It was like it was like I was hearing their voice for the first time.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It-
I can understand that. That's
so
amazing.
so this is really really relatable, having these shapes like that. But anyway,
Yeah.
I guess why I like this so much is he just picks out the word that he knows, and he hears origami apparently,
Yeah.
and he just folds a rose. He's like bon voyage, and just walks away. And then her expression is just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she's got a little crush,
Yeah, I know,
or something like
right?
that. I love it.
It's
Oh, I
so
love it
nice.
so much.
Like he's able to make a connection with someone even though they don't speak the same language. I think that's pretty beautiful. But also as I mean it's so hilarious.
Yeah.
Just getting to follow along with Miyuki's like thought process throughout this chapter is
Hmm.
so funny. And like there's that one time when Miyuki, obviously he continuously has this vision of Kaguya going like how cute, but in this chapter she does it in French. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Indeed.
uh yeah, and how he doesn't understand anything that Betsy is saying, the girl with that's insulting him. uh and how that really like conveniently works to his advantage.
Hmm.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah, that battle or chapter or whatever was pretty great.
So great, yeah. So the first page that's just explaining the premise, it's basically, it's not the same drawings, but it's basically the same thing as the first page of the first volume as well.
Mm.
Just like with other, I guess, angles and maybe slightly different words, but it's just the premise of the story explained by the narrator with these images that I don't know how many times I've read this page in my life. I mean, because I've gone back, like just looked at that page quite a lot, and obviously both the first volume and this one basically have that same thing. It makes me laugh out loud every time. Like I literally cried with laughter when I reread this. Like when I was to take notes for this discussion. I don't know what it is about it. It just is so funny to me.
Talk about the colored page, right?
Yeah, like the very first page.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just such a funny way to look at relationships. Like
It is. The direct kiss, an indirect kiss chapter. It starts off, very typical for the series, the mind games,
hmm
the all that. But then what I thought was funny about that chapter was how in the end Kaguya and Miyuki choose cooperation to or collaboration
yeah,
to both get on top. Then of course it turns out the coffee beans were feces or something.
yeah,
Um,
digested. I don't know who
right.
thought was like, oh my gosh, these coffee beans are gonna be so good. Who
I
thought
mean,
that?
apparently they were right at least. But yeah, who
Well, no,
would
I
come
mean,
up with
hey,
that?
yeah, I mean, obviously, that people think they taste good. I'm sure they do. I
Yeah.
just, I don't know, just it's the crazy things we'll do. I was actually debating on whether I would call that part romantic or not, but I mean, I think it's like it's hey, it's a romantic comedy. What do you know? Uh, it's the part where they agree to both drink. They're gonna drink it at the same time or whatever.
Yeah.
It basically confirms that they want to, that they secretly have this desire to share that indirect kiss.
Of course. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I guess that goes more into the romantic side, but I still think it's funny that they go through all these hula hoops
Yes.
to get to the point where, yeah, we there's nothing we can do about it. I guess I'll just have to indirectly kiss you.
Yeah, we're so busy. We don't have time to switch cups now. It's let's just
It's too late. Yeah.
just roll with it. Yeah. We mentioned the Kaguya's misunderstanding about what having done it means. And obviously that's a super hilarious chapter, and I just want to shed some light on Miyuki's and Chika's reactions when they get under the impression that Kaguya has done it. Like Miyuki starts reading through like a phone directory looking for like, area codes, like anything to get his mind off of it, or like stuff like that. It's so funny.
I loved it so much.
And when Kaguya assumes that Miyuki has done it with his sister, I think what Miyuki says there, he says, "No way, are you high?" Like, so good. And Kaguya even says that Chika does it with her dog all the time, and that's like, oh no. Poor Chika. She's like, don't pull me into this. That's definitely what, like, probably my, like, as far as comedy goes, that chapter is my
it's
favorite.
really good. Agreed. I mean, well, I think the last one is still my favorite, but this is so close.
True, they're close.
Yeah, this one is done so well. It's a great kind of misunderstanding, and even before all that, the chapter starts with again that principal guy, and he says, "Look at those two; they're not succumbing to their desires," and hilariously enough, their inner monologue is like, "Oh man, I can't wait to do hot things with this person," or I'll do this to him, I'll do that to him.
Yes.
And of the two, like, Miyuki's makes sense, especially when they're talking about the magazine, and he's like, "Wait, is there frontal nudity?" Frontal nudity.
Yeah.
In that, and he's like, he has interest or shows interest. So obviously, he has the mind of a teenage boy, but Kaguya, she says, "I'll do this to him and that to him." What is she thinking? Is she thinking of like, get a whip and that kind of thing, or but surely she's sheltered, so surely not like.
Yeah, no.
What, she's thinking of kissing him? Like what?
Yes, that's what I
guess that's it.
She's thinking about kissing, holding hands, like those really really innocent things, hugging. That's what I imagine is on her mind.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And maybe that's why he had that part right there in the beginning, because to the reader, when you just read that, you think, oh, they're both thinking of, the getting down and dirty. But but after that chapter, you're like, oh, Kaguya's too innocent for that.
Yeah. And one thing I wonder about that I thought was pretty funny is the cockroach. After Chika lets it out and it flies away, we see it. It says something about like, oh, I'll come back and bring all my friends and like to thank you, like girl with a ribbon in your hair. Like, I wonder if we're actually if that's actually going to happen. If like a bunch of cockroaches are just gonna come to the school in some chapter in the future, like. That would be really funny, like if Akasaka just wouldn't forget about that and actually make that a chapter at some point.
Yeah, I wondered. I
that would be so funny.
Is that foreshadowing something?
I don't actually know.
We shall find out.
We shall. I'm gonna definitely keep my hopes up for it, because I think it would be such a fun callback to that. And I mean, that chapter partially, very minorly inspired the famous Chika dance, so
true.
It would also kind of remind us of it, and that's always fun to be reminded of that dance.
Just imagine that dance, but the room is instead filled with those cockroaches.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it would be as popular as it is.
Yeah. Or if a cockroach does that dance.
Oh. Speaking of that chapter, just real briefly, freaking Kaguya bites Miyuki.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was when I saw. I mean, obviously, I understand her reaction to try to get out, but because this scene was in the anime, so when I saw it, I was like, whoa, like, holy. I don't know. That whole scene just really shocked me, because I wasn't expecting the groping or the accidental groping, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the bite.
Yeah, it's a crazy chapter,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's pretty crazy.
Like, I guess I can understand why they didn't adapt it in the anime. I although I still love the chapter, I absolutely do.
Yeah,
For all three of these characters, it's amazing.
yeah.
And I want to touch also a little bit on the cat ears chapter,
Oh yeah.
which also really funny chapter. And I think what made me laugh the most in that chapter, among many things, obviously, was
Hmm.
when Kaguya does the how cute face. I thought that was really funny. That face actually happened outside of Miyuki's mind.
I I agree. Unintentionally too. It's funny.
Yeah.
Continuing on with that, it's when Chika is like, "Well, let's try these horns or whatever." And
Mm.
we see Kaguya's scary side again. We we see it from time to time, uh, but in this chapter, it's really there. She's like basically just they use the word in English, the jab. They jabs her finger into Chika's cheek, and he's like, "Nope."
Oh yeah, yeah, that is scary.
I thought that was hilariously scary. It was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Uh, Dang, if I was I understand why Chika would be scared of that.
Oh my god.
And then obviously the expressions they're making as they're trying to get ready for the picture.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Oh my god. Yeah. Actually, do you want to move on to romance, because I have a thing to say on the romance thing about that exact thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like obviously in that moment when they're just looking at each other, just moving closer and closer and closer with these really awkward and pretty ugly face expressions, and like, but they are in love, so like it's like they don't see those ugly faces that they're both making. They just see the person they love. I thought that was really nice. Love is blind and all that. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, I agree. Going along with that, I think this volume there was it two times or three times that they were really close to each other's faces, like close enough to kiss, basically.
There
I think it was
was
this one and
yeah.
the coffee one. I don't know if there was another one after that, but
Well, the coffee one was only an indirect kiss.
yeah, but they had it's a big step. No,
True. You're right. You're right.
no, just the imagery, like they
Right.
basically um, they imagined that they were really close to indirectly kissing.
Yeah, that is a very exciting moment before Chica reveals what the coffee beans are,
Hmm.
because it's like this double page with them. Obviously, their faces aren't actually close, but it makes it look like that, and that's very, very romantic. Something I thought was really nice was we got to follow along with Kaguya's thoughts about how she would be able to talk to Miyuki a lot on the phone once he got the phone that she was able to make sure he got, and like how she like has these dreams of, being able to talk to each other every night before they go to bed, and like staying up on the phone like
Hmm.
while studying, and like those sorts of things are such nice thoughts.
Yeah, they're sweet, innocent little things. It's
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, I'm not really, I'm not talking from experience too much, but again, I don't mean to make it sound like a pity party. I'm just saying, the
Mm.
the little things are what make relationships so special.
Hmm.
In a lot of ways, yeah, people really yearn for those grand romantic moments. I imagine, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the little things, just talking to someone about your favorite movie, or talking to someone over text while you're just shooting the breeze, or wasting the time away with each other like that. Really, those are some of the best moments in a relationship, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So like to see that Kaguya also values those sorts of simple things made me really happy. Like
Yeah,
it's such a wholesome thing.
very wholesome. My favorite romantic part, again, is chapter 20.
Uh-huh.
I
Yes.
and the bonus chapter.
Hmm.
So that whole chapter was hilarious. Like Miyuki was such a champ in what he was doing, and then in comes Kaguya to go protect her man. Like
Yes.
goes full on beast mode and destroys the French lady.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I I really love that.
It's so good.
Um, and it just shows her intensity, and she can be. I mean, we already knew she was a scary woman, but
Yeah.
we can see like she will protect the people she loves.
I kind of wish we would have been able to actually know what she said there, because it
Yeah,
makes me curious how nasty was she actually to get that girl who has a reputation of being incredibly nasty and foul and mean and brutal, like for Kaguya to one up her there. Yeah, I really wonder what she did say.
I agree. That totally like
Yeah.
yeah. What could she have said? Especially when she says, "I have such a foul mouth."
Right.
But continue on what I was saying.
Yes. Yes.
Is that bonus manga chapter where Kaguya is just incredibly down on herself for succumbing to her foul side, her worst self. But then Miyuki basically shrugs it off, or says it's not that big of a deal, and she confesses her feelings right there, but in English. That was a cool move.
Or whatever language it was.
It was English. In,
Was
in
it?
the anime, she says like, I believe,
Oh, in the anime.
uh,
Okay. Okay.
and it's Like. It is 4 letters. So
Oh. Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously, yeah. Regardless of the language, yeah, she does confess there. Uh,
yeah.
and that, I mean, but this bonus chapter, obviously, it adds so much to that last chapter.
Hmm.
Also, I think with Kaguya and Miyuki both ended up as winners of that quote unquote battle,
Yeah.
and it's because Kaguya learned that Miyuki didn't actually understand French, so like he exposed himself in that way to her. Meanwhile,
Hmm.
Miyuki learned about Kaguya, like her how she like savagely defended him in French. Like, so both of those developments, I think were really important.
Hmm.
Actually, similarly, there was almost a confession as well earlier in the volume, in the love letter chapter,
Oh yeah, yeah,
where
yeah, 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 yeah.
we haven't talked about that chapter at all. I don't think.
No, not
But
really.
where Miyuki resorts to saying that hypothetically, he's very
Hmm.
clear about that hypothetically, if he would express feelings for Kaguya, if she would forget about her admirer then, and she responds that it's possible that she would. Uh, that was also like basically a confession.
Yeah, pretty close, and that's what caught her off guard.
Yeah.
And I really like that moment because yeah, that does catch her, and she's like, it's possible, and she basically the look on her face when she says glance, she looks over like
Mm.
it almost is like she's anticipating the confession to come next,
Yeah.
or the real confession to come next, and maybe she's really excited about that. But then it's a fake out. Is it that shallow? This true love of yours? Oh, I love it. I love that was like that's a
Yeah.
pro move right there.
Yeah. Oh man.
Pro gamer move. I loved it.
And then we get to read that letter like after the
Yeah, I
chapter.
was gonna ask you about that.
Such a weird letter.
Yeah,
Like it starts off, I guess, all right, but then it just becomes this weird thing.
really creepy.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want you to tell me, but I wonder, are we ever gonna see who wrote this letter, or is it just a one-off person who wrote it,
I wonder.
or was it someone who wanted to instigate? Maybe it was Hayasaka who instigated it
Oh no,
in that
no!
sense.
I would not think that.
Okay.
Although, I mean, I don't know. Admittedly, I do not know. So yeah, it would be fun if that would also like get brought back up in the future at some point.
Hmm.
Although, I mean, who knows?
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, well, it's not like I'm invested in this, but it would be an interesting thing to come back to. Like she ends up getting a lot more of these, or she gets
Oh
another one
yeah.
similarly to it. I don't know. I guess I just wanted to bring that up. But also, earlier I said that the scene where she throws the cuff at Hayasaka was after the smartphone. It's not. It's after the love letter one, or it's in the same chapter of the love letter. I mistakenly said that, so my bad.
Ah. Oh yeah, actually, there was another romantic thing, or at least I thought it was very sweet. Was the phone call between Kaguya and Miyuki?
Hmm.
Just, I don't know. I felt I felt that was romantic in a way, and also the text that Miyuki sent afterwards, like that whole interaction to me felt really romantic.
Yeah. Oh, that was Miyuki. Man, he scored points on that one, because
Yeah.
like, I mean, what a good boy. Like
Oh yeah.
he he picks up the phone in the bathtub, which, depending on the person, might be a little strange. Like I would never do that. It's like, heck no, I'm in the middle of my stuff. But anyway, he picks it up, and there's that awkwardness there. I guess there's two things I want to say about that. But first,
Mm.
Miyuki, whether or not he has these special feelings for her, but he's treating her very well. Like, oh, make sure you're warm tonight. It's gonna be cold,
Yeah.
and he literally goes out in the rain and waits for her. Oh gosh, what a great, what a pro move. I mean, obviously, you probably would want to work with the person. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? But still, it I know, it just it's a testament to his character, to and probably is a bit of his excitement. But it's a testament to his character that he's a good guy.
Totally. And yeah, like the fact that he isn't upset by the fact that
Yeah,
Kaguya didn't show up, on the rainy day. He's just happy that he received his first text message from her.
yeah,
Ah, that's so sweet.
for sure.
Love that.
The other part too that I want to mention is he does a very good job of depicting that tension and anxiety you feel. At least I felt when I was younger,
Mm.
or even now when I text someone of the opposite sex, and I have feelings for, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, there is a bit of that. Oh, I don't know. Like, should I be the first one, or what if they're not going to answer, or what if they just get be annoyed, or I don't know. Should I go do it?
Mm.
I thought it was a really good interpretation of that.
Yeah, and supposedly Kaguya took 30 minutes to write the message, like the cancellation message. Which also I feel makes sense. It's logical for what the situation is. She's a teenage girl in love, and
Hmm.
writing a text message, especially the very first text message you ever write to the person you like. Uh, you know, I don't think it's strange that it takes some time because you want to make sure you
No, yeah,
formulate it perfectly and stuff like that.
yeah, and you got to get the guts to press that send button.
Yes, that as well. But yeah, this volume was just so full of like so many wholesome and just sweet moments overall.
Agreed.
Obviously, in addition to all of the hilarious ones. So
I know. Yeah,
very
definitely
nice.
laughing out loud a lot.
Yeah, same. I mean I laughed until I cried, basically
Oh
on a
wow.
few places. Like, well, or the first page at least, I legitimately got tears in my eyes because I just laughed so much at this fucking premise. But yeah, lovely volume. What did you think of it overall compared to the first one?
I think it's stronger. I
Hmm.
think the first one is a lot of just short brain games, with some of them weaving into to each other, and a bit of a development. But this one had there were still short brain games, but I don't know, there was more to it than just this is the game for this chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I like that fluidity as we go, and I hope we see more of it. Not that I have anything wrong with the new villain of the month, or whatever the term is,
Uh huh.
but I do like having character growth and just showing progression, rather than
Yes.
just running around in circles, trying to get the other person to confess. Which I don't think they've been running around in circles. But if they were to repeat what they were just doing in volume one,
Mm,
then yeah, I would feel like, okay, now we're running in circles. But I don't
right.
feel that way yet.
Yeah, I would say like this story definitely early on it has more of the stuff like basically that volume one was pretty much primarily just like student council situations where Kaguya and Miyuki tried to, do their thing. and
Hmm.
convince the other to confess. Like there's a lot of that in the early like first maybe 3-4 volumes, but it definitely gets less and less of that kind of progressively as the story goes on. And yeah, the it definitely gets better and better. This is really one of those stories, at least as far as I've read, which is volume 16. So, did you have a favorite character? Like at this point in the story, who's your favorite character?
Uh, I still Kaguya is still my favorite. I think because I think I said last week she was,
Mm,
but Chika has moved up. Or at least I don't think I put her above Miyuki yet because I do like Miyuki. But first volume, I wasn't incredibly impressed with Chika, but this one, yeah, she moved up the ladder. Like she gave a good impression in a lot of ways, and I hope
yeah.
she continues to do so. I When I watched the anime, I really did love her, and not just because she's cute and waifu,
Yeah.
but um, I thought she was funny and had some great moments. However,
Yeah.
I think I wonder if as we go, the more characters we get, the less of an impression Chika could make. But maybe that's a testament to Akasaka's manga writing ability, is that he's able to give all the characters time to shine, which I do hope so.
I do think he is very good at that. Like even smaller characters, like characters that are even less significant than Chica.
Hmm.
Not saying that she is not significant because I think she is very significant, but yeah, I I agree. I agreed with you for the first volume that after the first volume only, Kaguya was definitely my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
But I think and like I'm trying to think back on like when I read these the first time. But I do think it was basically route like with this volume that my favorite character became Ai Hayasaka.
With this volume?
I think so because I just really obviously
What?
she doesn't have like the same kind of depth as
Uh
the other
huh.
characters, but I do remember very early on like there was something about her that just really spoke to me about how
Oh.
like just her witty just nature and
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
the way she
True.
takes things like her dedication to Kaguya, but also how she kind of like toys with her as well. Like it's just a fun. She's just like it's just a really fun personality. I think that I was immediately very fond of. So
Huh.
yes, at this point in the story, my favorite is I.
I mean, clearly you can tell. I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
Ver- I, I, I guess my side of thing, unless a character design is just so gorgeous and I love the person's personality, even by the little that I've seen, I usually go for the person who has the most character development or who I feel like has the most moments to shine, and that tends to be the main characters.
Mm.
But so I find it interesting that yeah, your favorite would be someone who hasn't had a whole lot of screen time yet. And to be honest, even after watching the first season of the anime and seeing people who were stands of Hayasaka, I was really surprised. I was like, "What? I don't understand. I don't
Right.
what am I missing here?" So, not I don't I mean, it's not like I dislike her. I don't see why she has so many fans. And I'm hoping as we go on in past volume 5,
Yes.
I'll be able to see what the hype is all about. So that, but at at the end of the day, you were already on Team Hayasaka, at least at this point, by volume 2. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
I mean, it's not. It's definitely. I agree. Like she obviously hasn't gotten that much depth into her character,
Hmm.
but yeah, as I said, like it's a lot more about just her personality.
Yeah, that's fair.
That I just really enjoy that.
Yeah,
Yep.
understandable. And I mean, I'll admit she does have a cute design.
That as well. That is a very nice bonus. I love her design. Anything more we wanted to say before we round off the episode?
I'm still Team Kaguya. I want
Oh yeah,
I want Miyuki to confess still. But
that's right.
I am I will admit I am coming a little more to your side because you're Team Miyuki. You want Kaguya to confess.
If I would have to choose, then yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, I thought we wanted to keep doing this, so
Right. Yeah. For sure. I'll say this since I think I made my decision based on everything I knew. So my point on it's not gonna change, but definitely you should definitely keep updating yours. Volume by volume. I definitely think that's fun. So yeah. With that said, thank you so much for listening to us talk about the second volume of Kaguya-sama Love is War. You can find more of James's stuff on Intensity on YouTube, where he does Nintendo topics, talks about different games. Not only Nintendo though, he does like streaming stuff of Persona 5. I think you've been doing.
That's what I'm doing lately. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, different like video game fun stuff. And you can find me on YouTube and SoundCloud as Leon Morris, where I share all of the music that I compose and record. Thank you again for listening. We'll see you next time, where we will talk about Volume 3. Bye bye!
Bye bye!